Ravana. No god nor demon can defeat me.
Hello there everybody, you're there, and I'm SuperSonicBlur, and welcome to the next God Guide kit explanation and build! This time, we're going for that Ravana. Very, very interesting god that is kind of taken surprise out in the jungle. It kind of like masters, everyone was sort of whispering like, hey guys, Ravana's really, really good. And then he exploded. Like straight up, he exploded onto the scene. There's a huge controversy coming out as to whether or not this guy is a jungler or a solo laner. And let's be perfectly honest here, this guy is a jungler. He can run solo, but the problems with his kit and the way that he is designed here don't quite match up with what you can do with his playstyle and the potential that he has coming out from the jungle. So this guy in the jungle role is very, very strong. Hell, he was even running support, which you could do if you wanted to, and then you just use the same concept. But what that concept is you take one person and you blow them up. He's like Nemesis. The big difference is he's early game Nemesis and has differences in CC and a higher, less squishy health pool. He's like the opposite of Nemesis, like the inverse Nemesis. This guy early needs to get ahead or kind of bust. Nemesis is, let's not get too far behind or bust. That's pretty awesome, and I love the fact that that's a thing. So if you have a look on the screen now, you'll see all of the different sections. We'll have the kit explanation, the build, and the leveling guide. And so let's get straight in with that kit explanation for Ravana. Okay, so Ravana's passive is called Chain of Blows. Successful basic attacks and abilities against enemies add to Ravana's combo chain. Each time his chain reaches 8, he will receive a shield equal to 5% of his maximum health that may stack up to 3 times. What does this mean? Well, this means that he gets a 15% shield. I'm just gonna get a crud ton of attack speed right now so that I can show you this super fast. So, bear in mind this isn't a build for him, but you'll see here. Okay, so see that blue bar? That's the shield. Now what's important about this shield lasts forever. This shield lasts as long as physically possible. Like, this shield will last until you take that damage. It doesn't have a timer on it like Kepri. It doesn't have any, there's no timer or anything. It's just there. You just have this. You just have a shield like this, which is very, very strong. You can see his passive, you can see those heads running around him, and you'll see that, which is very cool, honestly. So already you can see this guy has a fairly good sustain amount in his kit, just from the fact that Chain of Blows enables him to get that little, he basically can have 115% of whatever his health is, which is pretty good. That's not bad. Lets him be very tanky, lets him really take these fights, which is why people would argue, oh, you can put him in the solo lane because he can take these fights. The problem is, though, you can't really do what you want to do with the rest of his kit. His attack chain on basic attacks is 0.75, 0.5, and 1.25. As you can see, it's wham, bam, whamp, which is a little awkward, but it's abusable. I will say that much. The first 2 chains are abusable. With the rest of his kit, thanks to a little bit of auto attack cancelling, which I'll explain once you go through the rest of the kit. But the first ability is called Pran Onslaught. Ravana throws a powerful punch, projecting his Pran with it to damage and slow all enemies in front of him. The damage that this ability does is, let's find out, because as always, we're going to go with this. Let's see how much damage it does. Scaling, it has 80% scaling, pretty good. It has a slow of 25% for 2.5 seconds. That's pretty good. It's also on a 9-second cooldown. That's pretty good. So this ability, as you can see, it's a fairly short range, but the thing that you can do with it is auto attack cancel. Like so, which is pretty good. And you see that slow that you see there, which is pretty good. Also, there's that basic attack again, because I do like the backhand. But the idea here is you want to use this. You can hit pretty much the entirety of a wave with this as well, which is pretty nice. You can definitely hit the entirety of a minion camp, so you can go like that, and that's real good. That's really good, actually. That's like amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what you guys can do. On a jungle camp, you can go like, and as you can see as well, hitting that Chain of Blows also gives me that stack on my passive, which is great. Now, what's important to note, Prawn Onslaught, and Chain of Blows. Chain of Blows works when you hit an enemy with it. It doesn't matter how many enemies you hit, Prawn Onslaught will count for 1, provided you, well, anything greater than 0, you could hit 1,000,000 enemies with Prawn Onslaught. You will get 1 stack for Chain of Blows. Overhead Kick is his second ability. Ravana performs a high kick, sending a shockwave forward to damage all enemies in a line, increasing his movement speed and rendering him CC and damage immune for the duration. You know Chunga and her 2 and how that has immunity on it? This is the exact same thing. This is amazing. 0.75 instant seconds of CC and damage immunity means you can bait out a lot of damage. And not only can you bait out a lot of damage, but you can dive backlines with it. And it means that early you don't need beads and or Aegis because you have this. So yeah, the range on it is not very long, but the idea is you are using this to get out of CC. Oh no, I'm going to get stunned, or I'm going to get hit by a lot of damage. Whoop! No, I'm not. That's pretty good. It does have a very long cooldown on it early, 20 seconds. But for the CC immunity that it gives you, you kind of has to. But bearing in mind, even if you never use this ability outside of a beads, that's pretty useful. So yeah, I'll show you. Look, you can just go like, I can do Fire Giant. You can't do Fire Giant this early, but woof, immune. That's pretty good, if I do say so. So that immunity is very, very strong. The 3 is 10-hand Shadow Fist. Ravana's fists fly forward. Try saying that 3 times fast. Damaging and passing through minions and damaging and rooting the first enemy god hit. Ravana heals for each enemy hit with a maximum damage sources of 1 god and up to 3 minions. The damage this does is getting changed down from 120. I can't remember exactly to what. I want to say it's down to 100, but it does still scale up to the same thing. 55% scaling on it. Root of 1.5 seconds is pretty good. Couple in them with that means you can get in, do some basic attacks, and then slow them with the Prawn Onslaught. Means that you can do a lot of damage to some very quickly, and you can control their movements a fair bit for about 3 to 4 seconds, which is pretty good. The heal on it, remember this can go up to 4 times, so that's pretty good. You can get up to a 280 heal on it, though chances are mostly you'll use this through a wave and you'll get it off that way, less so about hitting the enemy gods. Now what's important is this does stop on the first enemy god hit, so unfortunately, that was the wrong one. You can, let's say there's a wave behind Odin. Guess what? Doesn't matter. You hit Odin. You didn't hit the wave. Which is why Prawn Onslaught is so useful, because it does hit everything in its wave. But Prawn Onslaught gives you that little bit of control and a nice bit of sustain as well. So already you can see that he can be fairly control-y and sustain-y, and he does a lot of damage early. And we haven't even got into his ultimate. Mystic Rush.
Ravana leaps into a target area, damaging all enemies in that area and applying a debuff to enemy gods that increase the damage they take from all sources. After landing, Ravana receives a buff that reduces the damage he takes from all sources of 40%. The duration of this is 5 seconds. The tooltip here is incorrect. The damage reduction is being reduced to 40%, and the damage buff increase of saying, you take 10% more damage now. This has a 70-second cooldown at level 20. That's pretty good. So, that, in and of itself, means that Ravana... Here, I'll show you. Let's just go... Okay, so he took 91 and 76. But that's just put the combat log up, because, you know, where's combat log? There we go. See, so he did that. Now we do this. Like so. Look at that. They take more damage, and I take less damage, which is very, very strong. Couple this in with a Sunder, which you'll buy first, suddenly they are taking 25% damage more, or 35% damage more when you upgrade Sundering Spear. Doing 35% more damage to an enemy means that no matter who you have in mid lane, or what they do, you do a lot of damage. A lot of damage to enemies. That's pretty good, ladies and gentlemen. So the idea behind this kit is fairly simple. Get in their faces, blow someone up. Your goal is to blow someone up with your damage. From level 5 onwards, you can blow someone up, and you'll have Sundering Spear. The goal here is in. Like so. That is your basic concept, is to blow someone up. You do a lot of damage to them, very easily. So, you can also use those basic attack cancels. Technically, every one of his abilities has a basic attack cancel on it, but the basic concept here is in. Don't, I messed that up completely. Let me just redo that. That was awful. That was god awful. You did not deserve to see that. That was just awful. Absolutely awful. So let's do that properly again. We go in, Sunder. Let's have a look at the combat log and see just how much damage that did. Okay, so, 2-bit thing. This that basic attack, Sunder, basically. So it's somewhere in here. Basically, you do a lot of damage. You do a lot of damage. I'll show you on Robot as well, who has a 7 health. What's his health? He has 725 health. I reckon we will take that away. In fact, actually, you know what? I'm going to go so far to say that we don't need items to be able to kill this. I reckon. Looking at this, I could do a fairly good amount of damage. 200. I should be able to do a reasonable amount. So we go... Without any items, Sunder and my ult enable me to do over 700 damage. Not to mention as well, you get the true damage damage coming through from Sunder. That's pretty good. That's really pretty good. You know, 35% additional damage means that any items I can do over 700 damage. That's very strong. So now we've gone over the kit for Ravana. I explained the kit rotations and all that kind of stuff. Now it's time to go over a build for Ravana.
Alright then, so build-wise for the Ravana, or the Ravan, whichever you really want to say. This is where things get fun, because there's kind of a bunch of different options you can do here. The main one is, as we said, he's going to be in the jungle. So the main thing we're going to do is we're going to get Bumba's Masks, and we're going to get Bluestone Pendant. You can say Death's Toll, but Bluestone Pendant doing more damage really is just kind of better. It's what you want. After this point, you want to get yourself Warrior Tabby. Now, an interesting thing that Mr. Captain Twig has done recently is picking up Watcher's Gift. Why are you getting Watcher's Gift? Well, what this means he can do is if he's going to keep himself joined to the hip with, say, the mid laner, the mid laner can worry about clearing all the waves. He can be there for poke and pressure it a little bit. He then gets more sustain. He then also is able to rotate around and do a lot for it. This gives you the sustain options to go through with it. It's very strong, but you kind of have to think about the playstyle with it. You're going to be joined at the hip with one or more person at almost all times by doing this. It's an 800 gold investment that you need to get, let's see, 5 bonus gold. So if we take it on just the bonus gold value to pay off Watcher's Gift, 5 into 800, so 80, 80 would be 90. So you need 190 minion kills that you did not get for Watcher's Gift to be quote-unquote efficient. The idea is that you have it for the health and mana, but that bonus gold, you need to make use of this item if you're going to do it. Personally, I haven't run with enough of Watcher's Gift in that and that playstyle to see it as a good investment. As a result, I will not do it myself. So the things that you want, we are going to want to pick up a Jotun's Wrath. We want the mana, the power, the penetration, and cooldown. We want everything this item gives us. After this, next thing we're going to want is Brawler's Beatstick. We want to get even more penetration online because it's so strong. At this point now, the next thing we want to look at is maybe a defensive option. And there are several different options we can go for here. Spirit's Robe is perfectly fine. Protections of everything, cooldown reduction, and crowd control reduction. Yeah, it's all there. Everything we want is great. Another option you can go for is Shogun's Kusari. In the next patch, this is going down to 2200 gold, slightly less magical protection, still MP5, still crowd control reduction, and still cooldown reduction, and 25% attack speed. Now, what this doesn't give you is physical defense, which can be a problem, but it's not too bad to be able to pick this up. You get attack speed on it, and it's not too badly priced. So you can grab that. The next thing we can grab, and the last two items we can grab, are going to be, you're going to want Titan's Bane, and another option if you want some if we don't want Shogun's Kusari, and instead we go for, say, this, then basically we kind of just want to do as much damage as possible. You can go for the Crusher. The Crusher is not a bad option. Crusher gives you that ability to subtract 1 second on your abilities, so you get a little bit from it and a bit of penetration and power. It's there. You can go for Masamune, giving you more power, health, and movement speed, which is very strong. You could go Void Shield if you wanted. It's kind of a bit of a mix and match, but the main thing you want is, I want to blow people up. I want them dead very quick. So, from that regard, if you wanted to be very defensive-wise, you could go for this and... where's Kusari? And Kusari. This will give you a fairly reasonable amount of damage, a very large amount of penetration as well. You got 20 reduction from there. You have 10, 25 from this, and 33%. Not to mention as well your ultimate and everything. So we go like this. It does a lot for you. And as you can see, everything's pretty good. If you want to go like full out nuts, balls to the walls in terms of damage, then it's basically this. I would not recommend this. This is the absolute balls to the walls. I just want to do damage. And I don't care about anything else. As you can see, you have 40 penetration, plus 20 reduction, plus 33%. You do have a fairly decent physical protection, but you don't have that much magical, so you got to be careful. Your ult does come with that 40% reduction, but it's not the be-all and end-all of everything, so be careful with doing that. Hence why I would not necessarily recommend doing this fully, but doing this fully, you still do a lot of damage, like an absolute crud ton of damage you can do. Like, just looking at these basics, man. Like, look at these basics. Or if you wanted Masamune as an option, really, it kind of comes down to playstyle. Like, you could say you want to be a bit more defensive, you could do this, which still does a lot of damage, gets you cooldown reduction, and a lot of protections. Like, this gives you, what, 35? Yeah, 35 protections, plus the reduction, plus the movement speed, the health, the power. There's kind of a lot of options, but the main thing you want is that penetration, sort of these 3 core items, these boots, and your last 2 are kind of situational. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, now that we have gone over a build for Ravana, it's time to go over a leveling guide. Alright then, so level 1 Ravana. You are going to want to pick up Prawn Onslaught. Prawn Onslaught will cost you 30 mana. Not only does it only cost you 30 mana, it does 80 damage, and it's going to be on a 6-second cooldown, which means you can get off a couple of those in the wave. The other viable option here, you can argue, is 10-Hand Shadow Fist. The reason you can argue 10-Hand Shadow Fist is because it can hit the whole wave. However, the problem that comes from that is you can stand in front of it. And yes, you will still take a fair amount of damage, but honestly, Prawn Onslaught doing more being able to do that damage more often and slowing is just as good as the root early when you don't necessarily have that much movement speed. If you're in mid and the enemy mid laner has got no boots and you slow them for 25%, they're basically standing still. So from that regard, it works out just as well. Not to mention, you can hit more things with Prawn Onslaught and still do just as efficient with wave clearing. So from that regard, getting Prawn Onslaught is pretty good for first thing. The next thing you want to get is gonna be probably 10-Hand Shadow Fist. The reason we get that is because, you know, we do more damage now. You do more damage, you control them more, and it helps clear the wave, and it gives you a bit of sustain. At this point, it would probably be wise getting your 2. The reason why I say it would be wise getting your 2 is because we will be getting Sundering Spear, because of the fact that we have the ability to use our 2. You can get the 2 second if you feel that you need it, but honestly, you should probably be okay getting 10-Hand Shadow Fist, depending on what happens. If you get pressured really hard, level 1, get overhead kick, level 2. So from that regard, that's a thing you can look at. So play that one a little bit by ear, but that's the general idea here. At this point, level 4, you should have something that looks like this. And then level 5, we now have our role. And priorities will go Mystic Rush, Prawn Onslaught. At that point, it's difficult with Overhead Kick and 10-Hand Shadow Fist. Because 10-Hand Shadow Fist you can look at and say, hey, it already does all the root. But the damage and the healing it does is pretty good. Or you can go Overhead Kick and be like, guys, I really want this cooldown on Overhead Kick. I am personally in the camp of 10-Hand Shadow Fist. Some people would turn around and say Overhead Kick. Again, comment section down below, leave it to debate. But the main concept is, every chance you get to get Mystic Rush, get Mystic Rush, because that's important. Like I said, little column A, little column B, there's arguments you can make for both on Overhead Kick and 10-Hand Shadow Fist. I like 10-Hand Shadow Fist personally, so I will grab that. And then with Mystic Rush, always level 9. Absolutely have to get Mystic Rush level 9. You want that cooldown, you want that damage increase. The fact that this thing gets a decrease in cooldown is so important. This thing has like it's a 70-second cooldown, which means that with 40% on it, you're laughing all the way to the bank, guys. Like, straight up. Like, if I just get even more CDR, like, screw it, like, well, Breastplate of Valor, get CDR. Look at that, 42 seconds. So, 42-second CDR is nuts. Absolutely nuts, getting 42-second cooldown. It's, like, insane. But yeah, you want to get that cooldown. 30% is reasonable. And then we get Prawn Onslaught. At this point, then, again, you level whichever one you want to level second. Get the ult whenever you can because you're reducing the cooldown, and it's important. And then finally, we start leveling these other abilities. And this is something you should look like at level 20. Oh yes, second relic. Second relic, Beads or Aegis, whichever one you want. You can get, there's 3 options here. Beads or Aegis, because whichever one you use your 2 for, you can get the other one of. Another option is Shield of Thorns. It's like, ha, you cannot hit me. You know, you dive the backline, pop thorns. What are they going to do? You take 40% reduced damage and reflect back 50% of the damage that you take. That's very strong. There's an option that some could say Bracer of Undoing. The last 5 seconds or so, you know, we say we get this, and then, you know, for the last 8 seconds, Shield of Thorns gives you back 50% of any damage you took. So what we're saying here is basically I can go in, pop my ult, take a load of damage, hit G at the end of my ultimate, and then suddenly I'm back to, you know, like 75% health or whatever. I could go, let's see, I'm actually going to just try and take as much damage as physically possible right now. And the only thing I know that can do that is this bitch. So what I'm going to do is just take some damage. Whoops. That's not me taking damage, but yeah, you can see here, I'm just going to constantly take as much damage as possible. Bonk. Oops, that's Shield of Thorns. Never mind. Do excuse me. I bought the wrong thing. Shield of Thorns is still great, though. Getting you that. That's pretty good. So, yeah, Shield of Thorns makes for a great thing as well, but Brace of Undoing, you basically heal up pretty much full anyway. And as you can see, Fire Giant barely did any damage to me because I had that health shield. But not only did I have that health shield, but I also as well just have genuinely reasonably tankiness because I take 40% less damage from this, which is really, really strong. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comment section down below whether or not you have any gods you wish for me to look at. Also, as well, any things that you suggest with Ravana, be it build, leveling order, kit rotations, and any tips and tricks that you have. I want to hear your success stories and failures in the comment section down below so that other people can point and laugh and learn, more importantly, from all of them. And we can all have a good time with this. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, my name has been SuperSonicBlur. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and favorite for more, and to share the stuff so people know that it exists. You guys have been a fantastic audience, and I shall see you all next time.